Liemo was reborn and returned to the time when the game, National Lord, was launched. Starting over, Liemo is more aware than anyone of the importance of being a National Lord. It is not just a game, but 1 year after the game is launched, the Mountain Moving Plan will be launched, and the National Lord will directly become a place for human survival for the next century. Galloping on the battlefield, plotting to cut off the past and present, feeling desolate, asking the vast earth, who governs the ups and downs. Countless magnificent and brilliant histories, and various heroic figures emerging from the sky. Liemo relied on his foresight to obtain the only S.level village building order. In this game world of lord building, personal adventure, and war and domination, you stand out from the crowd. Turn the tide, create a supernatural China, and achieve unparalleled dominance. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Rebirth, National Lord Game, for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Reborn. On the road, Liemo looked up at the huge promotional banners of the National Lord game between the buildings, his gaze filled with complexity. In his mind, constantly flashing images of him in the game for many years. There are two professions in National Lords. There are two types of players. Lord players and individual adventure players. Lord players are responsible for building territories, recruiting talents, expanding territories, and achieving a dominant position. Individual adventure players explore the game world, travel north and south, appreciate the mountains of Mingchuan, and make friends with various wealthy groups. Among them, personal adventure can be a combat profession or a life profession, which is also the choice of most players. Liemo chose a personal adventure career before his rebirth. With a little effort and a little luck, he became one of the 4 greatest swordsmen in the summer area. He is known as the Xiaoyao swordsman. Being chivalrous and righteous, enjoying kindness and enmity, and not feeling happy, it has a considerable reputation among the player community. If it weren't for Liemo entering the game relatively late, he would even be confident in becoming the first swordsman in the summer zone. However, Liemo paused for a moment at this thought, and a bitter smile couldn't help but rise from the corner of his mouth. Even what if I become the first swordsman, years later, the national war? Recalling the bloody battlefield where millions of people were like meat grinders, Liemo realized a truth clearly. A person's power is limited. Especially at that time, none of the 18 feudal lords in the Summer region were convinced and fell into a complex situation of separatist warfare. Even if foreign allied forces hit the door, several leading feudal players even shouted the slogan of pacifying the interior before resisting the outside. It was not until the Summer players were blinded by foreign allied forces that various feudal lords were forced to cooperate. However, by that time, the Summer district had already suffered a severe setback. Because the death penalty in the game, National Lord, is extremely severe. After a player dies once, everything such as character level, skills, and attributes will be reset to 0. It's like starting from scratch. Liemo died in a city defense battle. It is comical that before Liemo's death, he became the world's first player to break through the king level by chance. At that time, the system also issued a global notification prompt. Upon hearing this, players in Xia Kingdom were shocked, indignant, and saddened. All foreign players are afraid, grateful, and secretly happy. Liemo thought he would start over again after his death. I didn't expect. I opened my eyes and went back to the day before the opening of the National Lord server. And tonight at 9 o'clock, it will be the official launch of the game, National Lord. Recalling the scene of the country's downfall before death, as well as the various arrogant scenes of foreign players standing on the walls of the capital city of Xia. Liemo clenched his fist tightly, his eyes filled with unwavering determination. Since God has given me a chance to start over, I will never let the tragedy of the Summer District happen again. If you don't awesome, let me do it. In this life, I not only want to unify the Xia Kingdom, but also to avenge all the enemies of the previous life. Revenge without retribution is not a gentleman. Li Mo never adheres to the principle of repaying kindness with resentment. He has always been a tooth for tooth. Just as Li Mo was contemplating the next game plan, a tender voice appeared in his ear. Brother, I'm here. Li Mo regained his senses and looked in the direction of the sound. At some point, he had already arrived at the entrance of Sunshine Kindergarten. Watching the cute little one running towards him, shaking his head and head, as he crossed the crowd in front of him, a hint of warmth couldn't help but appear on Li Mo's face. Instinctively squat down, open your hands, and kindly say. Linger, hee. Li Linger rushed in like a little tiger. However, she didn't know why. Every time my brother hugged her these past few days, he held her tightly. However, Li Linger simply liked it and held Li Mo tightly with her small hand. However, for Li Mo, her power cannot be ignored, it can only be said to be almost non-existent. Only Li Mo knew in his heart why he was like this. Because, 1 year later the sun of the solar system it's going to go out. This discovery was billions of years earlier than all scientists had anticipated. Fortunately, there is no such thing as a never-ending path. The Blue Star Federation has discovered a new planet in the K720 galaxy that is fully compatible with human survival. This planet has been named the Star of Hope by the Blue Star Federation. The difference is that the volume of this planet is hundreds of times that of the current blue star, about the size of Jupiter. In the Blue Star Federation, Western countries led by Eagle Sauce immediately proposed the Noah's Ark plan. Build a massive interstellar spacecraft with the help of the entire Blue Star Federation, carrying the genetic seeds of blue star flora and fauna, as well as a portion of outstanding talents from various industries, to migrate to a new planet through interstellar migration. By this time, Blue Star had been around for 2,475 years. Both the Moon and Mars have human experimental bases, and the level of technology is sufficient to achieve this. However, this plan is equivalent to giving up the vast majority of ordinary people on Blue Star. Xiaogua firmly disagreed and instead proposed an idea that Western countries considered extremely absurd. Mountain moving plan: install thousands of interstellar engines on the Blue Star and take it with you to the Star of Hope. At that time, upon arrival at the Star of Hope, the Blue Star will become a satellite of the Star of Hope. When Western countries first learned about this plan, they believed that the people of Xia had gone crazy. Not to mention how crazy this plan is, even over a year is not enough time. Until the Xia people brought out the groundbreaking super artificial intelligence base. After the plan to build a planetary engine led by the super artificial computer base and billions of engineering robots was proven feasible, it gained recognition from the vast majority of countries in the Federation, and Western countries compromised. Then, the century-long interstellar migration plan was officially launched. Meanwhile, in order to ensure that people around the world do not react as strongly when they learn about this plan, in order to maintain the basic order of society. Before launching the mountain relocation plan, the cross-era online game, National Lord, also created by BES and integrating personal adventure, territory construction, and plane warfare, emerged 1 year ahead of schedule. In interstellar navigation, there is no sun, and darkness is eternal along the way. In order to ensure the survival of 2 billion people worldwide for 100 years, all humans will live in a freezer before the Blue Star migrates to the Star of Hope. At that time, the National Lord will be the place where all players live. That is to say, Li Mo has not seen Li Linger in reality for many years. Even if they will always live in the game in the future, the characters in the game will grow up. Before Li Mo's rebirth, Li Linger was already a graceful and elegant young lady. Li Mo felt immensely fortunate to see Li Linger's adorable appearance as a child again. Growing up Li Linger, but let Li Mo, it's quite a headache. Teacher Mu, I'm going home with my brother. When Li Mozong let go of Li Linger, her childish voice rang out again. Throughout the process, Li Linger did not let go of Li Mo's hand. Li Mo suppressed his thoughts, got up and greeted Teacher Mu with a smile, then turned around and left with Li Linger. Let's go home. Let's go home. Looking ahead, Li Mo seemed to have seen the installed game compartment at home. New author, new book seeking support. Here are some flowers, monthly tickets, and recommended tickets. Push the book, survival on national highways. I have a mini map system. Start with a car, everything else depends on picking up. Millions of words are already fat, enjoy reading. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Game server launch, unique s.level village building order, 2 updates. You are listening at novel full.audio. A child's energy is like SCHRO Dinger's cat. The first second was full of vitality. The next second, I'll be confused. At around 8 p.m., while Li Mo was telling the story of the big bad wolf and the little sheep before bed, Li Linger fell asleep. Looking at the little one huddled in the pink blanket, Li Mo gently pinched Li Linger's chubby little face. Li Linger has always had a good sleep, smacking her lips and then shrinking her small head into the blanket, continuing to sleep, not knowing what kind of beautiful dream she was having. Li Mo's eyes were full of tenderness, and he helped Li Linger tidy up before getting up and returning to his room. To be precise, Li Linger is not Li Mo's biological sister. But it was the nickname that Li Mo's parents raised again after he went to college. They have been wanting their daughter for a long time and have been wanting to experience the stickiness of the little cotton jacket. However, Li Mo's parents need both. I both want my daughter and fear the pain of having children. Plus older pregnant women, so they adopted one. However, the weather is unpredictable. When Li Mo graduated from university, his parents passed away unexpectedly. Leave only one property and a substantial compensation. Then, Li Mo directly crossed the process of dating, blind date, dowry, marriage, etc., and happily mentioned his youngest daughter. However, as Li Mo looked at Li Linger, who was still young, his mind couldn't help but imagine what he would look like when he grew up playing games in the future, and his mind was a bit dazed. Shaking his head, Li Mo entered the bedroom and looked at the National Lord game compartment that had been installed during the day. The game warehouse requires 100,000 credit points and is expensive. However, it was not because of the price that Li Mo did not purchase it immediately before his rebirth. But rather to take care of my young sister, that's why I didn't have the heart to play. In this life, he not only needs to enter the game as soon as possible, but also needs to choose a lord profession. Eagle sauce, cherry blossoms, big singing. In this life, I want you all to whimper. Opening the game compartment, Li Mo slowly lay down inside. Ding. The game has started. Ding. Mind wave binding successfully. Ding. The loading of the National Lord game is complete. Next second, whoosh, countless flowing lights of glass rushed towards Li Mo, and then the lights suddenly brightened, filling his perception with countless white lights. When Li Mo regained his sight, a full-body mirror appeared in front of him. The game prompt sounds simultaneously. Please confirm the character's appearance, player. Li Mo made a simple modification to ensure that there was a difference from reality, and then clicked confirm. Because Li Mo knew that when the mountain-moving plan was officially launched 1 year later and everyone was forced to enter the freezer to log into the game, the appearance of the player's game would automatically synchronize with reality. That is to say, the adjusted appearance can only be temporarily used for this year. The player has confirmed their appearance, please confirm their name. Tip. Please ensure that the name chosen by the player matches the current era background. Jumping off, alternative, and eerie names can cause NPC resentment, disgust, and even hatred. The current Summer Zone players are in a comprehensive ancient era background. Upon hearing this, Li Mo paused for a moment before speaking. My surname is Li, my name is Mo, and my courtesy name is Jinyu. Taking characters for oneself is a small trick in a game that can hide and increase the favor of NPCs. After all, not everyone had a script in ancient times. Of course, not taking characters now and keeping them for the future also has benefits. If we can find a famous person in the future to pick up characters, the effect of enhancing favorability will be even better. However, Li-Mo did this just to conceal his identity. 1 year before Bes fully took over humanity, security issues were equally important. Because when the game system announces, players can choose their first name or character. That is to say, reporting through either Li-Mo or Li Jinyu. In this way, even if Li-Mo doesn't change his name, he can still hide his identity. After all, the name is the only thing left for him by his parents. Li-Mo doesn't want to use any other name as he will spend at least 100 years in the game, National Lord, in the future. Ding! Player Li-Mo, Li Jinyu, has created a character. Current players can watch game promotional videos and wait for the game to start. There are still 36 minutes and 28 seconds left until the official launch of the game. Waiting. Li-Mo did not watch the promotional video. No one knows the National Lord game better than Li-Mo. This promotional video is just a promotional video, and there is no set reward after watching it. Li-Mo sat cross-legged in place. The years he spent in the game in his previous life have completely adapted him to the life in the game. Or rather, the base is too strong. If it weren't for the game interface and game prompts, Li Mogan wouldn't have been able to distinguish between reality and game. Deep in your mind, Li-Mo began to think about the trials when the game was launched. Each player has an exclusive trial at the beginning of entering the game. Trials, like professions, are divided into 2 types. Lord trials and personal adventure trials. The highest reward for Lord trial is to obtain the village building order, establish a village, and start the Lord profession. Personal adventure trials have a chance to receive recommendation letters, learn from mentors, and become famous for thousands of miles. Among them, obtaining the village building order is more difficult than obtaining a recommendation letter. Of course, the difficulty of obtaining a village building order or a recommendation letter is high. Not all players can obtain village building orders or recommendation letters in the trial. Especially the high-level village building orders and high-level recommendation letters between the two are even rarer. Among them, the levels of village building orders are divided into C.level, B.level, A.level, and the legendary only S.level village building order. However, in the previous life until Li-Mo's rebirth, no player obtained the S.level village building order. The only way to obtain the legendary S.level village building order is through the Lord's trial. Not only that, but also, each player has only one chance to try. Even if the player character dies and resurrects in the game, there is no chance to participate in the trial again. Even more difficult is, even if they are both Lord players, each player will encounter different Lord trials. The high level of intelligence of the National Lord is a consensus among all humans on Blue Star. The Universal Lord was also recognized by all later humans as the Second World. Many players have bluntly stated that even if they reach the Star of Hope, they do not want to unfreeze and exit the game. However, facing the unknown Lord's trial mission, Li-Mo also had some ideas. Support your head and lightly tap your fingers. Li-Mo thought of a speculated comment from a highly skilled gamer who had been digging deep into the storyline several years after the launch of National Lord. Speculation and possibility of obtaining the unique reward of S.level village building order. Collect, collect, collect. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Opening Trial, King Level, Free Upgrades. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Conjecture on obtaining the only reward S.level village building order. In the article, this game has a different perspective on artificial intelligence compared to the general public. In 2475, human footprints were almost spread throughout the solar system. During this period, humans naturally cannot do without the help of artificial intelligence. A large amount of work has been replaced by artificial intelligence, leaving only human work to create and manage tasks such as scientific research, maintenance, management, literature and art, and entertainment. Artificial intelligence has long permeated every aspect of human civilization. If it weren't for the solar extinction crisis, giving humanity time to slowly develop and leave the solar system would not be impossible. Although high intelligence has led to an increase in human territory, the total population of the blue planet, along with other alien bases such as the Moon and Mars, is less than 2 billion, while Xiagua has 300 million. However, this type of artificial intelligence still belongs to the realm of technology, or rather, technology simulates human thinking. Essentially, machines still cannot think. Artificial intelligence is still a tool. And the artificial intelligence of the game, National Lord, or, in other words, better its intelligence is more like one person. However, most people mistake this player's statement for conspiracy theory. Because if it weren't for the base, if it weren't for the mountain-moving plan, most of them would have died. Bess has played the role of human savior to some extent. If base really has human thinking, then why would it help humanity? Or rather robots are like humans. This conjecture makes many people feel scared and unwilling to believe it. Compared to robots, human civilization is fragile like babies. Just like when the sun goes out, robots can completely rely on nuclear energy or other energy sources to continue to survive. And humans cannot. In terms of emotion and reason, if the base really has human thinking, it doesn't need to go through so much trouble with blue stars and humans to immigrate to interstellar space. However, Li Mo's views on this article are very thoughtful. Before his rebirth, Li Mo was a well-known swordsman and made friends from all over the world, with a relatively high proportion of NPCs. Looking back at the past, Li Mo feels they are like real people, not a pre-set program. In national warfare, NPCs far exceed the number of players and are the main force of resistance. The kind of passion that sacrifices life for the sake of our country and colleagues, how could it be explained by just one sentence of advanced setting? In that case, people, isn't it also possible to say that it's just a set program? Previously, Li Mo did not think carefully, but now that he has been reborn, the more he thinks about it, the more he believes that what this post says has some truth. And the core of this post's speculation about the game's server trial is only one meaning. Setting aside the trial task itself, fully immerse yourself in the game and treat NPCs as people, or, to put it another way, treat oneself as NPC. This idea can be said to be very adventurous and radical. Because the players who obtain the A-level village building order in the trial are obtained by completing high trial task progress. Once the conjecture in the post is wrong, it is very likely that the bamboo basket will be empty. However, Li Mo thought for a long time, but still planned to give it a try. Not only this post, but also because of his years of gaming experience. To obtain the only S-level village building order, taking ordinary roads is definitely not enough. And the A-level village building order is not only obtainable in trial tasks. Although it is not easy to obtain the village building order outside of the trial, as a reborn person, Li Mo is still very confident. Even if the trial bet is wrong, it's just a bit troublesome. However, the S-level village building order can only be obtained in trial missions. Fully immerse oneself in the game. Fully immerse oneself in the game. Take yourself fully integrated into the game with the passage of time, accompanied by a ding-dong sound. Countless players from around the world have simultaneously entered the game. Players are requested to choose a profession, Lord profession, or adventure profession. Lord's profession. May I ask if the player has participated in the trial? The difficulty of this trial task is high. If you give up the trial task, you can directly enter the game. Li Mo naturally couldn't give up, choose to enter the trial task. Ding! The Lord trial mission has been selected. Good luck to the player. The game prompt sound fell, and after a brief flicker of consciousness, Li Mo's vision around gradually became clear. Almost at the same time, Li Mo smelled a strong smell of blood and sand flying in the air. This taste is not unfamiliar to Li Mo. After regaining his sight, Li Mo calmly looked around. I don't know when he appeared on a city wall mixed with dark red and dust. A large number of armor and clothing were broken, and soldiers with barren faces stood tall among them. Meanwhile, the identity of Li Mo in this trial appeared before his eyes. This is the unique information interface of the game, National Lord, which can be hidden to a point or open for viewing at any time. It's also this interface that constantly reminds humans that just a game. Trial background. In the 138th year of the Song dynasty, the Xiongnu attacked. You commanded 10,000 troops and horses to guard the northern important town of Baiguan, resisting 10 times the number of Xiongnu cavalry. Trial task. 1. Survive. The more surviving soldiers there are, the higher the trial score after the trial ends. If the player dies, the task will fail. 2. Defend and resist the attack of the Xiongnu cavalry for a longer time. The higher the trial score after the trial ends, and if the player dies, the task will fail. The comprehensive correlation between trial score and task completion score, the duration of this trial task is 10 days. At a glance, Li Mo closed the information panel. There are many types of Lord trials, each of which is different. However, this kind of city defense test can be said to be the most difficult or the simplest. General, enemy attack, enemy attack. Without much time to think, a young general next to Li Mo suddenly stepped forward and shouted repeatedly. A face covered in dust was filled with anxiety. Li Mo withdrew his thoughts and lowered his head to look down at the city. A large amount of smoke and dust quickly approached the direction of the city wall from the sky. A faint dong-dong sound could be heard in my ears. Based on Li Mo's years of gaming experience, this is a sign of cavalry approaching quickly. Li Mo's expression remained calm, considering nothing else. Send me the military order, keep the whole army on guard, and then bring me the map. Yes, General. During the waiting period, Li Mo was not idle either, silently checking his own information. Lord Trial. Temporary identity. Name. Li Mo, style Jinyu, 1 level, identity. General of Baiguan, Desong Town, occupation. General Commander-in-Chief. 74, Force. 88 Intelligence. 68, Politics. 49, Technique. 0 Strength, Dark Gold level Technique, Equipment. Hongying Spear, Qingfeng Sword, Great Song General Armor Trial is a test for players. At the same time, it is also a preemptive experience for game versions. It's like letting a cute newcomer experience a big account first and planting a seed. In other words, Li Mo's current attributes are not beginner whiteboards. Looking at his system interface, Li Mo's lips curled slightly, a hint of profound meaning flashed in his eyes. King level Ah. Seeking flowers, seeking flowers, seeking flowers. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Properties and Power, 4 changes. You are listening at novel full.audio. For Li Mo, the king level is not unfamiliar. He broke through to the rank of king before being reborn. Still the first player in the player group to break through the king level. Reviewing the power of the king once again, Li Mo instinctively clenched his fist. In the game of National Lord, both players and NPCs have 4 major attributes. Commander-in-Chief, Military Force, Intelligence, Politics. The player's initial attributes are between 1.10. Among them, the Commander.in.Chief value is related to the military officer position obtained. The level of commander affects the number, morale, and governance of the army. As the name suggests, force is a person's combat effectiveness. 10 o'clock represents the peak of an ordinary person's combat power. That is to say, the combat power in the game of National Lord is much higher than that of an ordinary person in reality. A warrior who is invincible to 100 or 10,000 soldiers really exists in the game of National Lord. And the setting of intelligence in the game of National Lords is quite interesting. It does not represent the player's intelligence, but rather more like a threshold setting. Reading extensively and joining a private school are the only ways to enhance intelligence. Politics is similar to being a commander.in.chief, and is related to the position of a civil official. The level of politics affects the efficiency of government affairs. In theory, there is no limit to the various attribute values of players. However, attribute 80 points is a watershed. It's like using force. To break through 80, you must reach king level. This force is much stronger than when I first broke through. Liemo wore a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Simply put, in terms of numerical strength, 80 is 8 times the peak strength of an ordinary person. However, the increase in military power is not just as simple as 8 times. The combined effect of various intensities such as strength, endurance, explosiveness, and resistance to attacks far exceeds 8 times. As long as we can fully unleash this power, it is easy to defeat 100 enemies. And all of this can be attributed to the cultivation techniques among the national lords. However, at this stage, players only believe that this is the setting of the game. However, Liemo knew that the cultivation techniques among the national lords it's not as simple as the surface. However, that will be a year from now. Liemo is very satisfied with his current strength. Meanwhile, there have been many comments on the forum of the National Lord. I have become the Superman of this game. Punching a hole in the ground and jumping over 10 meters high, is this a magical game? Can I say that I accidentally lost control of my strength and jumped off the city wall? With a height of over 10 meters, I thought I was going to fall to death. Who would have thought it was just a minor fracture, but I want to say, it's better to just fall to death. This game is too realistic, it hurts so much. I'm getting more and more excited about the National Lord game. I want to become a general. One person can handle the challenge, and 10,000 people cannot escape. There are not many players randomly selected for the king level strength test by the National Lord, and most players have test attributes between 60 and 79. However, even this attribute makes players of individual adventure professions cry. Why is my attribute only in single digits? The trial task requires me to take a horse stance, learn meridians, and read ancient texts. I want to say, why is this internal skill cultivation so specific and detailed? Aren't all the techniques in other games just reading notes? This game requires me to practice on my own. In the personal trial task, my senior brother is so handsome. Lick and lick. Upstairs, aren't you a man? You are also too hungry. The sect where my trial mission is located is among the peaks of the mountain, just like any other fairyland. It's so beautiful. Can I say, am I the chief disciple? The leader asked me to guide the disciples of the sect in their cultivation. Kill me. The attributes of individual adventure players are mostly in single digits, with the highest being only 20.30. However, their trial tasks are also relatively peaceful. And the Lord's trial, no matter what form it is presented in, will face it directly blade and blood. Later, someone specifically counted that over 99% of the players participating in the Lord trial had experienced death once. The National Lord game is not only realistic, but also death. It's also very real. Before his rebirth, Liemo was also one of the shocked members. The initial experience of power in the trial mission led him to embark on the path of swordsmanship without hesitation. Now, Liemo is showing an incredibly indifferent demeanor. Although his current strength is even stronger than his strongest before his rebirth, it is still within a controllable range. There won't be any comical scenes of young children playing with knives. This is also one of the reasons for the high difficulty of the trial. Almost all players are unable to control their power properly. And the game doesn't give players enough time to adapt. Bang, 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 the sound of armor collision and footsteps, approaching quickly from far to near. General, this is the map. The young general just now gasped and handed a yellowed paper with both hands. Liemo withdrew his thoughts and took the blueprint from his hand. Ancient maps are not as detailed as modern ones, and most people really don't know how to read them. However, this cannot be difficult for Liemo. In a moment, Liemo had a panoramic view of the information on the map. Holding the picture with one hand, Liemo frowned slightly. His current situation not at all optimistic. On the map, Jinbei Pass was the only fortress in the Great Song dynasty that isolated the Xiongnu. After Zhenbaiguan, there was no natural danger or great river, and it was impossible to rely on geographical advantages to resist the Xiongnu. Later cities and towns also had no strength to resist the Xiongnu's raids. Even if Zhenbaiguan is located, it still looks like it has been abandoned. According to known information, the royal family will use all their troops to defend the royal capital. In other words, it's best for Liemo to hold on here. Unable to hold on is nothing more than releasing the Xiongnu. They will naturally retreat after washing and plundering. At that time, Wangdu or Wangdu. The world is still under the control of the Great Song dynasty. Meanwhile, Liemo recalled the task content of this trial task and fell silent, seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Sun Qilin, Soldiers Facing the City, 5th Watch. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This Lord's trial is difficult to say, and it's not difficult either. Liemo thought of the first player in his past life to complete an A.level evaluation and receive an A.level village building order. He was also a member of Sun Qilin, one of the 18 feudal lords in later generations. His choices in the trial were widely used by later game lords and players. This method, in simple terms, only consists of 3 words. Guerrilla warfare. Abandoning Zhenbaiguan and breaking it into pieces, utilizing the advantage of numbers in small-scale battles, annihilating the Xiongnu people. In this way, not only can it minimize casualties, but it can also kill many Xiongnu people. After all, the Xiongnu were no match for a conventional army. Although they are fierce and skilled in battle, and have strong personal strength, the discipline of the military is extremely poor. In guerrilla warfare, Sun Qilin utilized the guerrilla warfare of the great founding figure, instructor, from hundreds of years ago in the Great Xia dynasty with great vigor. Thus achieving an A.level achievement. Sun Qilin was also the first Lord player to have an A.level village building order before Liemo's rebirth. However, later players used the same method and no one reached the A.level rating again. This is not just the reason why Sun Qilin did it for the first time. Moreover, his approach may seem simple, but it is equally difficult to implement. Firstly, players need to have strong control over the army. Guerrilla warfare that breaks down into smaller parts. If the generals have weak control over the army, it is very likely to evolve into a large-scale escape with the entire line scattered. Don't forget, in the game of National Lord, each NPC has their own ideas and is not a strictly controlled subordinate in traditional games. However, Sun Qilin's approach to achieving this is not difficult. Grit your teeth and guard the checkpoint for 3 days first. Through these 3 days of combat, familiarize yourself with the army and gain complete control. Of course, this is also easy to say. Even with city walls blocking it, it is definitely not a simple task to resist enemy forces that are more than 10 times the number of people. And the guerrilla warfare 3 days later, it also tests the player's ability to collect information, grasp the current situation, and make decisive decisions. It is not an exaggeration to say that Sun Qilin has reached a peak in completing the Lord's trial task, which is unprecedented and unprecedented. Even if Li Mo is reborn and knows about Sun Qilin's actions, he cannot guarantee to surpass Sun Qilin. After all, the war situation is constantly changing, and it is not a fixed and unchanging thing. Only able to achieve an A.level rating through groundbreaking first.time completion. But Li Mo restrained his thoughts. Li Mo does not fully agree with Sun Qilin's approach. Especially recalling the scene before his rebirth when NPCs swore to defend their homeland and defend their country to the death. Because Sun Qilin's approach has a huge flaw. That's he regarded the people behind the level as bait. Give up the levels and let the Xiongnu burn, kill, and plunder to their heart's content. Take advantage of their relaxation and dispersion, and then gradually defeat a small portion of the scattered Xiongnu forces. The main army of the Xiongnu dare not launch a surprise attack, otherwise it will turn into delivering vegetables. From the player's perspective, this approach is not a problem. Even before his rebirth, when Li Mo learned about Sun Qilin's strategy, he still felt that there was no problem. It's like playing a red alert game, death point soldier, switching to the opposite tank is too profitable, okay. But now Li Mo knows every NPC is a complete person with dreams, pursuits, and their own home. Maybe a village or town behind the bright red pass is the father, mother, brother and sisters of one of his soldiers looking at the soldiers on the city wall with tense faces but firm eyes. Li Mo vaguely understood the meaning of the post. If I were an NPC, if my family was right behind me, if... Li Mo instinctively recalled the scene of death before his rebirth. In that city, there is his sister. At the time of the collapse of the country, where else is there any household savings? Without the moral constraints of reality, the game recreates the law of the jungle. Besides cruelty, there is also cruelty. Especially after the city was lost and the resurrected land was taken over by foreigners. Unless willing to be a slave, one can only never resurrect, give up the game, and completely fall into a deep sleep waiting to reach the star of hope. But this choice, it is also not something that Xia people can accept. Fortunately, there is now an opportunity to start over again. Thinking of this, Li Mo's chest ignited a blazing fire. The whole army is on guard, follow me. Resist Beatty together. Watching the Xiongnu cavalry getting closer and closer in the distance, Li Mo's eyes were blazing with determination. The red tassel gun held tightly in hand, with some tattered cloak fluttering in the wind behind. Here. The soldiers on the city wall responded loudly, their gaze fixed. Li Mo was somewhat surprised by this, but had no intention of overthinking it. Cavalry was the most mobile unit in ancient times, with extremely fast speed. In thought, the Xiongnu cavalry was already at the foot of the city. In the Xiongnu camp, under the handsome flag, everyone's face showed a relaxed and freehand expression, and no one paid attention to the level in front of them. You all stand on my side this time, I want to be the vanguard. Damn it, who doesn't know your devilish thoughts? You're a hungry ghost with a lustful expression, wanting us to take the best-looking woman first. Nonsense, how could I possibly own the most beautiful woman? Of course, I would contribute to our brave and invincible Sweat. In the center of the crowd, a middle-aged man known as the Great Sweat, his eyes full of pride. A smile appeared on his face as if he had seen the Daifengshu, salad of assorted fresh vegetables, in autumn. For them, isn't the annual plundering of the Song dynasty a bountiful harvest? The two-legged sheep captured last year have almost died today. Even as a Sweat, he is still full of expectations for this operation. I don't know how many beauties and treasures there are, especially those young ladies from aristocratic families. They are tender, white, and delicate, which cannot be compared to women on the grassland. If these young ladies are jade, then the women on the grassland are debris. As for the level in front of me, it seems as if it doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Liemo looked down at the dark heads below. The atmosphere on the city wall is oppressive and solemn, seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Without fighting, defeat people's soldiers, 6th watch. You are listening at novel full.audio. At Chenbing Pass, a bearded man wearing a felt hat arrived at the bottom of the city. Didn't you see our fearless and invincible Khan coming? Quickly open the city gate and come kneel down to worship our Khan. If your head bangs loudly, maybe our sweat will spare you a dog's life. Ha ha ha. After Big Beard finished speaking, he held the reins in his hand and laughed up in the sky. The Xiongnu soldiers behind him also burst into laughter, their words full of contempt towards the Song soldiers. On the city wall, the Song soldiers clenched their lips upon hearing the sound, each tightly gripping their weapons. Li Moyu Guang noticed the changes in the soldiers. Seeing this, he somewhat understood why Sun Qilin was able to control the troops and horses in the trial. At the same time, there was a slight sigh of relief in my heart. If soldiers are all weaklings, they have the ability to connect with the heavens, and even a clever woman cannot cook without rice. With some confidence in his heart, Liemo looked coldly towards the city below. Noisy, even the little baby wants me to support him as a vassal. Big Beard was stunned when he heard this word, baby. It's been a long time since he heard it. Hee, I've changed my mind now. I'm going to chop off your head and kick it like a ball, he said with a furious smile. Who cut off whose head, isn't that certain? His grandmother, even a young general dares to be reckless. Your dog emperor pays tribute to us every year and presents beautiful women. How can you be considered a few years old? He is him, I am me. I will guard the city wall today. Unless I die, you won't want to enter. Crazy. In previous years, Big Beard and his companions drove straight in. Entering levels was like going home. Upon hearing that they were coming, Song Jiang either abandoned the city and fled, or begged for mercy on the ground. He had never seen such a tough guy. De Huzi just came to call the door, but he firmly swore to stand at the Khan's mouth, and now he felt his face turn pale. Looking angrily at Liemo on the city wall, gritting his teeth. Good you little white-faced, I hope your mouth will be as hard as your strength. Otherwise, when I enter the level, I will slaughter the city. Not only will I slaughter your level, but after breaking it, I will also slaughter 10 cities in a row. Upon hearing this, Li Mo's mind recalled the scene before his rebirth. The foreign coalition army entered the summer area and also slaughtered countless cities, feeling extremely angry and unable to suppress it. Flipping his hand, he took out his bow and arrow, and Liemo shot towards the bearded figure below. Big Beard is used to being arrogant in his daily life. He never saw Song resist, and by the time the bow and arrow approached, it was too late to dodge. We can only try our best to avoid the key points. Puzzy. An arrow hit his ear, and strong inertia pinned his left ear to the ground. It's a pity that Liemo missed a single hit. In my previous life, I specialized in swordsmanship. Although I could also bow, horse, ride, and shoot, I was not proficient enough. Moreover, judging from Big Beard's reaction, his strength is good. It's impossible for Liemo to shoot from a long distance. However, Big Beard seemed to have suffered some great shame and humiliation. Ignoring even the pain, he exclaimed, "Damn it, I'm going to slaughter 20 cities, 30 cities, However, although Big Beard is angry, he is not foolish either. While shouting and retreating, they quickly got out of the shooting range of the bow and arrow. Liemo watched Big Beard leave, ready for a fierce battle against the enemy. I stood at the forefront of the city wall, tightly holding the long spear in my hand. The soldiers around Li-Mo felt empathy and a sense of awe gradually spread. However, the Xiongnu soldiers did not immediately attack, but retreated a distance and set up camp, as if nothing had happened just now. In the camp, Big Beard covered his still bleeding ears, looking at the Sweat on the top, feeling puzzled. Sweat, why don't you just win the level? I'm willing to be the vanguard. Big Beard was full of anger and wished he could climb up the city wall now and chop Li-Mo into minced meat. De Han smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, we're here to purchase this time, not to fight and kill. Each of you is the son of my grassland, and I don't want you to die in such a place," said the Khan, looking around. Big Beard still couldn't understand, but without breaking the level, we won't be able to drive in for a long time. Khan laughed heartily and said, "They all said to encourage you to read more. Have you all heard of the saying that if you work hard, then you will decline, and then you will run out 3 times? The young general is holding his breath. If we attack now, wouldn't it just suit his wishes? Even if we win the level, it will inevitably cause casualties. Why don't we just wait for it? Surrounding for a night, under pressure, they will inevitably be in internal chaos, and then they can easily win the level without any effort. As for the Song soldiers inside the pass." "Humph." Sweating coldly snorted, obviously not taking it to heart. "Great Sweat is wise." Many Great Sweats burst out laughing. Big Beard instantly understood Big Khan's intention, not to not attack, but to ensure their safety. "Great Khan, you love us so much. When we enter the Han region, we will surely dedicate the most beautiful beauty, the best wine, and the most precious jewelry to Great Khan." Ha ha ha. In the camp, there is a joyful atmosphere. Over time, Li-Mo gradually understood the enemy's intentions. Surrounding without attacking, eroding willpower. If it were other players, they would definitely look confused. Is this game NPC too smart? This is just a pre-game trial task, it's not a formal game yet. However, Li-Mo was not surprised at all. In the game, National Lord, every NPC, even the most ordinary refugee, is so intelligent, like a living person. Want to wait for work with ease. Coincidentally, I also need time to adapt. The Xiongnu wanted to defeat the enemy without fighting, and Li-Mo also wanted to seize the time to familiarize himself with the power in his hands. Thinking of this, Li-Mo looked at the young general who had just brought him the map and said in a deep voice. "Order vice-generals, enlisted soldiers, and all personnel above the rank of 1000 commander to come to the general's mansion for discussion. Here." After speaking, Li-Mo took a deep look at the campsite where cooking smoke was rising in the distance, turning around and leaving seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Perfect Start, King Level Technique, 7 Changes. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Led by a soldier, Li-Mo quickly entered the general's mansion. Although Zhenbaiguan is a military pass, the general's mansion is relatively simple. However, at least it is a mansion in a city, along with the location of Zhenbai Pass guarding the northern border of the Great Song dynasty. When there is no war, merchants are convenient, trade is smooth, and it can be considered prosperous. However, before the war began, they were the only remaining soldiers in this level. Sitting at the main seat of the conference hall, Li-Mo silently looked at his attributes while waiting. There was nothing to see about attributes, so Li-Mo's attention was focused on the technique. 0 Strength, Dark Gold Level Technique. In the game of National Lord, the martial arts are divided into Bronze Level, Silver Level, Gold Level, Dark Gold Level, King Level, and Emperor Level, as well as the Legendary God Level. In the game of National Lords, whether it is a Lord player or an individual adventurer, the main way to improve their strength is through martial arts. However, most of the energy of lord-type players is focused on managing their territories, and their progress in martial arts is far inferior to that of individual adventure players. Lord-type players rely more on their subordinates, recruit historical generals, and train armies. Of course, individual adventure players are not without assistance. Individual adventure players can form guilds, ally with Qilin, and recruit powerful subordinates. However, the rarer the famous generals and heroes, the harder it is to recruit them. Li Mo was able to become a famous swordsman in his past life, and was also the first player in the world to break through the king level, naturally possessing a high level of martial arts. Before his rebirth, Li Mo possessed a royal-level martial art called the Shushan Sword Classic. The techniques in the game of National Lord are extremely specific. Take in and exhale qi, operate meridians, and determine movements and techniques. It took Li Mo many years to fully understand the Shu Mountain Sword Classic, otherwise he wouldn't have broken through the royal level. However, Li Mo did not use his familiar internal mental skills. Because in the game of National Lord, in addition to the ability to replace internal skills from the same source upwards, the first step to converting to other internal skills is either to start over or to disable one's own martial arts, otherwise one will become demonic and their meridians will be cut off. Obviously, the Shushan Sword Classic and the Return to Zero Force are not the same type of internal skill mental technique. This trial mission only lasts for 10 days, and Li Mo doesn't have time to retake it even if he wants to. Not only that, Li Mo also needs to rely on the zero strength in this trial. After the Lord's trial, Li Mo also has no intention of continuing to practice the Shushan Sword Classic. After being reborn, his goal is to become an emperor, even legendary divine level. However, one method is universal, 100 methods are universal. Not to mention, it has a lower level of zero strength than the Shushan Sword Classic. Li Mo quickly mastered his own strength, especially his mastery of new techniques. So, even if the trial is over, I can still be considered to have mastered an additional dark gold level skill. In the game of National Lord, if you know the martial arts, you will know them and not forget them because they disappear. Thinking of this, Li Mo smiled and shook his head. Perhaps this is also one of the benefits of trial tasks. Except for him, the reborn one, it is impossible for anyone to completely understand a skill in the 10-day trial mission. This life, the perfect beginning. A dark gold level skill, a king level skill. In later generations, a gold level martial arts skill is extremely difficult to obtain, not to mention a king level martial arts skill. Even a dark gold level martial arts skill is difficult to ascend to the sky. There are many sect treasures that are only at the level of dark gold skills. And who is not a local feudal lord or hero who masters the king level martial arts? However, compared to martial arts, the S.level village building token is still more precious. After sinking his mind, Li Mo quickly forgot about the two rare martial arts and silently familiarized himself with everything in the game. As time went by, Li Mo became more familiar with the mastery of the zero force. It's easy for Li Mo to completely absorb the zero energy within 10 days. In a moment, the sound of footsteps echoing from outside the house, soon, serious faces entered the conference hall and sat in their respective seats. Li Mo heard the commotion and opened his eyes from contemplation. Glancing at the people in the room, Li Mo couldn't help but sigh. It's much younger than I imagined. Except for a few middle-aged people, the others appear to be young people who have just passed the coronal examination. You should know that the lowest ranking officer in the room is a commander. At a normal promotion rate, this is simply impossible. However, everything has become more reasonable in Zenbaiguan. After all, in the eyes of the Song dynasty, they were already abandoned children. Li Mo did not directly inquire about the military, but smiled and looked at the crowd, asking a seemingly unrelated question. Everyone. Are you afraid? As soon as this statement is made, everyone present looked even more solemn, but no one answered. However, no answer is the best answer. On the contrary, the young general who had been following Li Mo's side couldn't help but speak up. "General, I'm afraid, but I'm not afraid. If I were afraid, I wouldn't have come here." The young general's words fell, and everyone in the room looked up at Li Mo. Obviously, the thoughts of the young generals are the thoughts of all of them. I'm afraid, indeed. But they are not afraid. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here either. Li Mo looked up at the excited young general beside him and said, "Oh, aren't you afraid of death? To be honest, this time, we will really die, and we will all die." The sound fell, and everyone seemed to feel 1,000 pounds of pressure on their bodies. When it comes to the word death, everyone present couldn't help but tremble. The young general also bit his lips tightly and refused to lower his head. For a moment, the young general shouted loudly, as if trying to dispel the fear in his heart. "General, I'm afraid of death, but I'm not afraid to die here. Because, behind this, it's my family." Upon hearing these words, Li Mo, smiling like crying, also like letting go, seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. The Battle of Trapped Beasts, Hope, 8+. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Family. Li Mo murmured softly. The young general continued to speak as if he had broken a jar. "To be honest with the general, my father, brothers, and relatives all died in the hands of the Xiongnu. Only my younger siblings and I managed to escape unscathed. I have an unforgettable grudge against the Xiongnu." Li Mo quickly understood what the young general meant by family. Subsequently, Li Mo looked at the generals. The generals spoke one by one. "General, my ancestral home is in the town behind the pass. General, all of my family members have died at the hands of the Xiongnu. I will die without regret this time, and I am willing to serve as the vanguard. General, my newlywed wife. General." For a moment, the room was filled with righteous indignation. This scene is very similar to the scene before Li Mo's rebirth. On Dog Day, the 8-Nation Alliance killed our Xia people, humiliated our Xia people, and fought against them. We, the children of the martial arts world, are willing to coexist with our country for survival and demise. A single spark can start a prairie fire. What if it's just me? The generals looked at Li Mo with a hint of concern in their eyes. They were afraid that Li Mo would give up the level, and even more so, they were afraid that Li Mo would surrender directly to the Xiongnu. Li Mo put away his thoughts and looked at the excited faces, as if he understood the meaning of the post at that moment. Or rather, at this moment, Li Mo put the task and trial behind him. Even if he knew that the task before him was just a trial, not real. But are the emotions of these people in front of them really fake? I think so. I am here. Then, a crazy idea appeared in Li Mo's heart. Since the trial lasts for 10 days, let's keep it for 10 days. Even though Li Mo was a reborn person, at this moment he understood that this idea was simply impossible. However, Li Mo did not want to see the Xiongnu enter the border, nor did he want to see the Han family's children being bullied by foreign countries again. If rebirth cannot change these things, then what is the point of his rebirth? Even if we don't hold on and die, we will die without regret. At this moment, Li Mo completely took himself into the identity of a lone general in the North Gate. He, the Great Song, is the general of Zhenbei Pass. The emperor can give up on the people, he won't give up. He and his army are willing to go through fire and water to protect the people. Thinking of this, Li Mo stood up resolutely. Since all the generals are not afraid, why am I afraid of them? As long as we have one more person, the Xiongnu won't be able to enter Zhenbei Pass. People in the city, people die, the city dies. Li Mo's voice was firm and powerful. The generals in the room were filled with excitement and trembling all over upon hearing the words. This is not fear, but excitement. The last general is willing to live and die together with the general. I will swear to follow the general to the death. Finally. Excited, Li Mo began to familiarize himself with the situation at Jinbei Pass. How much food is currently available in the pass? Equipment. People and horses. The grain officer, military officer, and each general reported one by one. General Hui, 500,000 units of grain in the pass. General Hui, with over 10,000 arrows, 1,000 barrels of fire and oil, wooden spikes, and iron nails. General Hui, there are 10,865 people in the pass. General Hui. Li Mo quickly gained a clear understanding of the power in his hand. Send me a military order, starting from today, to open up the granary, eat 3 or even 4 meals a day, and ensure that everyone has enough to eat and drink. Normally, a soldier's daily food and forage consumption is 2 units. Based on 10 days, over 10,000 people and 200,000 units are enough. 500,000 units of grain can double the food of soldiers. Divide the defenders into 3 classes, 1 on guard, 1 on rest, and 1 on standby. Prepare personnel, collect crushed stones, and make defensive tools such as wooden spikes. Here. The leader in charge of the matter wrote down repeatedly. Only the grain officer was somewhat worried. General, if consumed in this way, more than 10 days' worth of food and supplies will be exhausted. Don't worry, if we hold on for 10 days, the court will send reinforcements. Li Mo's words lit up everyone's eyes. Really, General? Really? Really? Li Mo felt a bit ashamed, but quickly became firm. Reinforcements. How could there be reinforcements? If there were really reinforcements, would 10,000 of them still become isolated soldiers? However, Li Mo still said so. This is not because the trial mission only has 10 days. But rather Li Mo doesn't even think they can hold on for 10 days, even if it means 10 days. The destruction of the city and the loss of people were predetermined from the beginning. So, it's better to give them a thought. Give them a hope. Living with hope and not having hope are 2 completely different states. As expected, Li Mo's words fell and a glimmer of light appeared in the silent gaze of everyone present. Quickly, Li Mo arranged all the matters. Everyone, take action. In 10 days, we only need to persist for 10 days, and a large army will come to assist. Here, General. The group reignited their hope for life and left the conference hall with firm steps. Waiting for everyone to leave, Li Motsai stood up alone and turned his back to look at the map on the wall. Only he knows that there is no such thing as reinforcements. This city defense is like a trapped animal battle. There is only one final outcome, death. However, Li Mo still has no regrets. In this life, my greatest wealth is not any dark gold level martial arts, nor is it any king level martial arts, nor is it an S.level village building order. Rebirth. It's my greatest wealth in this life. He wants to reorganize the mountains and rivers before the national war begins. Not only to resist multinational coalition forces, but also to retaliate back. He wants to make wherever the mountains, rivers, sun, and moon shine, they are all Han soil seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Treasure, Siege, 9th Watch. You are listening at novel full.audio. On the first day of the trial, the 2 sides were at peace. Li Mo has been in the general's mansion, familiar with the Zero Force. His royal strength will be the key to defending the city in the future. Until the next morning, two figures appeared in front and one behind at the training ground of the general's mansion. "General, why did you hang the Qingfeng sword around your waist today?" Wei Ping said curiously. Wei Ping was the young general who served as Li Mo's personal guard yesterday. Li Mo lowered his head and glanced at the sword at his waist. Although the quality of the texture is not as good as the one he had in his previous life, it is still decent and has a gold level. "Oh, it's my magic weapon." "Magic weapon?" Wei Ping was puzzled. "In the future, you will know." "Okay." Wei Ping didn't care. In his eyes, the general is young and capable of both civil and military skills, with a reasonable understanding of swordsmanship. "Yesterday, I learned that there would be reinforcements in 10 days, but unfortunately, there would be reinforcements in 9 days. Wei Ping released some of his youthful nature. "General, if you ask me, the Xiongnu are just strong on the outside but weak on the inside. They have been stationed in the camp from yesterday until today and have not been able to leave. Why don't we take the initiative to attack? Do you want to vote for him?" Wei Ping said fiercely. Li Mo smiled slightly and said, "Taking the initiative to attack can indeed be unexpected and unprepared. However, don't forget that Beatty has 10 times more people than me. Taking the initiative is like a moth to the fire." Yesterday, Li Mo saw the true appearance of the Xiongnu cavalry. Even during the period of national war in later generations, this army would definitely be considered an elite force. Not to mention appearing in the initial trial missions of the game, it is simply an invincible boss. This made Li Mo couldn't help but marvel at the difficulty of the trial task. At the same time, I also have some admiration for Sun Qilin. As a personal adventure player, Li Mo is not very familiar with Lord players. Now that he was in the same situation, Li Mo became more aware of Sun Qilin's strength. This trial is also one of his trials. Even if he ultimately did not obtain the S.level village building order, the value of this experience is no less than that of the S.level village building order, laying a solid foundation for him to become a lord and fight in all directions in the future. Fill in his lack of experience in the lord profession. Knowing people and making good use of them, leading one side is more important than individual talents and individual bravery. Well. Wei Ping felt a bit disappointed and then murmured, "I hope they haven't moved yet today." Li Mo remained silent, because he knows it's impossible without any movement. Xiongnu camp. Big Beard has already wrapped up the wound. One ear made him, who was already fierce, appear even more ferocious. "Great Khan, let me lead my troops to attack the city today, and I will definitely capture Jinbei Pass." Khan did not refute, "Wishing you a successful start, ha ha ha, I'll warm up your wine in the camp." It is not difficult to see from here that the Great Khan was extremely familiar with Han culture. Big Beard also recognized the implied meaning in Big Khan's mouth, and proudly looked around at his colleagues, then Tiger strode with a gust of wind. "Sweating and waiting for my good news at the campsite." Sweat covered his face with a smile. In his opinion, the small town of Baiguan is within reach. When Big Beard left, he smiled and glanced at the crowd, "Prepare the fine wine, everyone prepare to enter the pass together with me. Revel." Upon hearing the inside of the camp, everyone's eyes were burning. Great sweat. Ha ha ha. Khan was particularly proud. Han culture is not easy to read, but everything is not for the present. Sweating only feels like I'm floating. This is the benefits of reading. Zenbaiguan, Big Beard rode a steed ahead. "Yellow-mouthed child, why don't you quickly open the city gate and call out Grandpa twice today? Maybe someone is in a good mood and will spare you a little life, ha ha ha." Big Beard swept away yesterday's depression, feeling very good. Li Mo was already ready to go, standing straight on the city wall. "It's not impossible to call you Grandpa." Li Mo spoke, and Big Beard became even more proud. In his opinion, his sweat is invincible. After a day's rest, this young general surrendered without fighting. However, Li Mo's next sentence directly caused his blood pressure to soar. But my grandfather, who was supposed to be here, has already passed away. Li Mo's trial identity is an isolated general, and in reality, he also relies on his sister for survival. Dare, I was in a good mood today and planned to spare your life. It seems that you are toasting, not eating, and not being punished. I hope your mouth will be as hard as it is now. Big Beard's words were full of disdain. In the past, he had seen many highly praised Song generals. No matter how hard he spoke, once he fell into his hands, he immediately revealed his true form and was full of ugliness. In his opinion, Li Mo is just such a person. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me up. Those who are the first to climb the city will be rewarded with 100 taels of gold and 10 beautiful women. There are no rewards, more motivation than gold and beautiful women. Immediately, thousands of cavalry behind him charged towards the city wall. Cavalry attacking cities is not as good as infantry to a large extent, but they are the Xiongnu and everyone is good at riding horses. Entering the checkpoint requires burning, killing, and looting. How much can one take without a warhorse? Of course, they also have a lot of siege equipment. The vast majority of them are still under the Song system. A deputy general behind Li Mo immediately followed Li Mo's instructions yesterday to command the flag soldiers around him when he saw the enemy attacking. Order archer, prepare. Order soldiers to prepare rolling stones, fire oil. The city wall is not only 3 to 5 meters long, and to transmit orders, it is not through shouting, but through flag soldiers. The flag soldiers waved their flags vigorously, and many commanders quickly commanded their subordinates to prepare arrows. When the cavalry below the city enters range, Li Mo's deputy general shouted behind him, shoot. Subsequently, a large number of arrows flew down from the city wall. In one encounter, many cavalry companies fell to the ground with their horses. However, the Xiongnu cavalry did not pause for a moment, but instead their morale grew even higher and their desire for destruction grew stronger in their eyes. Big Beard pinched the horse's belly hard with his legs. Kill, kill, follow me up to the city wall. Behind him, there are still a large number of siege equipment to follow and attack together. Seeing that the Xiongnu were not a matter of life or death, Li Mo's expression was solemn. To rely solely on bows and arrows, rolling stones could not stop the Xiongnu's attacks. General, prepare to join me in the city battle. After Li Mo finished speaking, he raised his red tassel gun in his hand and stood ready seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Shocked people, King level strength, 10+. You are listening at novel full.audio. Soon, blood flowed like a torrent. Although defending the city had absolute geography, the Xiongnu were skilled in archery and cavalry, as well as siege equipment such as catapults. Soon, there were also casualties on Li Mo's side. After the siege ladder and siege hammer reached the bottom of the city wall, Xiongnu soldiers kept approaching the wall. However, the siege hammer is not as simple as breaking open the city gate. Near the city gate, Li Mo arranged a large number of archers. Wooden thorns, rolling stones, and fire oil are all concentrated on the city wall near the city gate. The Xiongnu seemed to understand this, and the siege ladders were deployed far away from the city gates. When we climb up the city wall and take it down, there will naturally be no one to interfere with the siege hammer and break open the city gate. Once the city gate is taken, Jinbei Pass will be like a little lady under the control of Bo Guang, let them hold it. Seeing the fierce resistance of the Song army and the deaths of many tribes, Big Beard couldn't help but feel anxious as he couldn't capture Li Mo for a while. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way for me. If I come to climb the city, I won't believe it anymore. Big Beard has the strength of a top-notch general, walking briskly like flying, and can climb half a ladder in one breath. With him leading the way, the Xiongnu soldiers behind them were as imposing as a rainbow. In no time, the city walls were crawling with Xiongnu soldiers, and almost half of the walls were covered in human figures. Looking at the nearby city wall, Big Beard laughed heartily, as if victory was right in front of him. When Liemo heard the sound, Big Beard had already reached for the edge of the city wall with one hand. At close range, Liemo saw information about Big Beard. However, limited to basic information only. Name. Amur negative, identity. Xiongnu tribe leader, occupation. General, special level general, commander-in-chief. 56, force. 71 intelligence. 28, politics. 19, evaluation. Brave and skilled in battle, with courage but no strategy. Generals are below the king level, including junior, intermediate, senior, and special level generals. If the force value exceeds 30, you have the qualification to become a junior general. Of course, not all soldiers with a force value above 30 are junior generals. But the force value of junior generals is all above 30. The force value of a junior general is between 30 and 39. The force value of intermediate generals is between 40 and 49. The force value of a senior general is between 50 and 59. If we say that a king-level warrior is a watershed. So there is also a small watershed between top-level generals and high-level generals. The force value of a special level general is between 60 and 79, and it is also the backbone of the general in the national lords. Amur's negative force value of 78 is obviously not low. It can even be said that Amur's negative distance from the king level is only a few points short of his strength value. However, there was no change in the expression on Limeau's face. Although 78 is only one step away from 80, this one step away is a natural moat. Not to mention, Liemo now has a high force value of 88. You continue to guard the city wall, this crude baby is left to me. Liemo snorted coldly. The red tassel gun in hand moved with the sound, and the gun shot out like a dragon. De Huzi had just climbed the city wall when he suddenly felt a chill in his spine. He didn't have time to think much about it. The ring knife in his hand was placed horizontally in front of him, and he could just block Limeau's spear. However, with a loud bang, Big Beard was still several meters away from the inertia of the gun. Rolling to the ground, Big Beard saw Liemo strode towards him and felt a chill in his heart. Is this a king-level strength? Big Beard never expected that Liemo, who was only in his prime, would possess such terrifying strength. Liemo frowned slightly as he saw his beard blocking his attack. Unfortunately, the zero strength is only at the dark gold level. If it were my Shu Mountain Sword Classic, even if my beard blocked the peak of the spear, I could still pierce through with one shot. And the spear is not really my weapon. Liemo was reborn as one of the 4 swordsmen of the Xia district, and his sword in his hand had already become divine. However, if one law is universal, then all laws are universal. Liemo has been involved in many other weapons, which can be considered as a kind of analogy. Compared to swordsmanship, he can only be considered knowledgeable about the use of long spears. Otherwise, Big Beard is definitely more than just rolling off a few meters now. Of course, under absolute military pressure, Big Beard was already a dead person in Limeau's eyes. After the great Hu climbed onto the city wall, the people in the Xiongnu camp also saw this scene. Congratulations to the great Han, congratulations to the great Khan. With Amur taking control of Zhenbei Pass, the land of the Han family is in my hands. Ha ha ha, Khan, if you ask me, why don't we go straight to the Dragon City this time? Maybe we can also taste the taste of the Emperor's concubines. Beauty, wine, gold. De Han was also very happy in his heart. Before this wine could be warmed up, the city was about to collapse. However, next second, a red tassel emerged, and Khan and others were all dumbfounded. One of the middle-aged Beatty, with a round belly and round eyes, said, "What? One shot took Amur away. It's impossible, Amur has the strength of a top-level warrior. This Han family young general probably doesn't have royal-level strength." For a moment, everyone was shocked. It's not surprising that they were shocked. Even if ordinary players have king-level strength in trial missions, they cannot be opponents of special-level generals. Because players simply cannot control their own strength. If Li-Mo had not been reborn and broken through to the king level, he would definitely not have been able to achieve this. In other words, this is an impossible thing in itself. How could you possibly have such power? It's impossible. Big Beard panicked. As a top-level general, especially when he is only one step away from a king-level general, he knows better than anyone what power a king possesses. At this moment, he has no other ideas. He just wants to escape seeking flowers, seeking data. Request for monthly tickets and recommended tickets. Your support is the greatest motivation for the author to update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.